Hello, Internet world. This is Paul Meyer from GAI Insights with our daily AI briefing. Luda and I and Ankaj are holding the fort down again. Skeleton crew, but just means the dialect will be even more pointed and direct. So, welcome everyone. Welcome, Luda and Ankaj. Ankaj, kick us off the first report, please.
Sure, Paul. So the first one that we have for today is around Malmo and Pitsmo. So these are open weight and open data state-of-the-art multimodal models.
And Luda, we have 5,000 people as authors. I guess there's no limit on number of authors you have here.
Yeah, I know, but it is interesting. It comes from Allen Institute for AI and Washington, so Microsoft people right over there. But it is a very notable effort with I think a fascinating. If it wasn't for research, I would put it as essential. But I think I'm thinking important, would be interested in what you say. But what it is they have been working quite hard on releasing an approach or a set. Now they're releasing a set of multimodal foundational VLMs with good performance, essentially outpacing Claude 3.5, Gemini, and GPT 4.0 in this way. So MOLMO stands for Multimodal Open Language Model, and it's a state of the art. The way they achieve it, they pre-train it, right? And then their architecture is slightly different. So they use models, they pre-train the model with a normal encoder, video encoder, and then they carefully orchestrate with the prearranged data. So the data is high quality, and then the large language model, transformer model in the background. So the architecture is slightly different, consisting of these pieces, and as a result, they're getting great performance. All of that, all the weights, all the data, and the models will be released and will be open source, and that's the value, and that's what they're trying to achieve: get the world to innovate on top of this. So I think it's important.
So it's important around that we really are seeing some breakthrough research, at least, and possibly open source models on a true multimodal approach.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, great. I agree with that. That's all where it's all going, and it's all bits at one level. So important it is. Guys,
Paul,
go ahead. Oh,
and Paul, I think we can make it essential as well. So Luda, it is available for us to test as well. So I did use it yesterday. So you can go to their website and just play around with it.
that's great. Luda, Kevin asked, is it just Gen AI models, or it's all? It's any modality, right?
It's actually focused on video, right? So they're trying to beat Sora and the like that was yet to come, right? And give us the model that we can try, all of us can try and build on top of. So I just think the amount of innovation will be massive. Maybe we should go essential. So Ankash, you were thinking essential?
Yes, Luda, because we already have access to it. And also, if you see, a lot of models are facing challenges in Europe because of their multimodal nature and the videos or images that they are trained on. I think this model has been trained on images which do not violate any copyright. So people in Europe will be able to use this as well. So I think that makes this maybe essential.
Yeah, I agree with that. So they're releasing the main value from my perspective. It's a model architecture of how it was done, but it's the data. They're releasing the data set that they used and how and the architecture and all the pieces of the architecture. You could try it on Kaj right now, but not everything is released. So if you scroll down, 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 they talk about what they released now, and they are releasing the other pieces very soon. So I guess they need to orchestrate them. So yeah, it's really an important step. And the performance right here, right? Ankash, go higher here. So the performance is quite significant. It beats every model that they've tried it on performance. So it looks good.
Great. So essential research, multimodal, and good performance. This is breathtaking. Great. Next one, Ankash, please.
The next one comes from OpenAI. So OpenAI has now finally rolled out its advanced voice mode. It has 5 more voices and a new look.
I had this one. I have this as essential. This is a theme. Now, I think we beat this theme up a lot, but I think that we've talked a lot about what we believe is going to be a killer app of the voice on phone, and this is taking it to another level. I think all AI leaders need to be aware of this because I think it's going to transform field service. I think it's going to transform how sales reps interact with stuff, and even in the factory floor. But Luda, am I over rating this? My grade inflated on this.
You might be a little bit because it is they released the voices before, right? So
Yeah.
the voices is not problem. They're adding to the voices and a little bit of a new look. I'm not sure they are adding much performance here. It's just the range of different voices, and the look is slightly different. So I'm not sure it's essential. I would rate it as important.
Important. Yeah. Ankash, are you on importance?
Well, I am on Essential. Luda, earlier it wasn't rolled out to everyone. So it was just rolled out to
Right.
very few people. Now, I think all the ChatGPT Plus subscribers can use it. So I think wide availability will certainly sort of bring more new use cases that people will be experimenting with. So I feel it's essential.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think part of essential, I think, is that something we really feel strongly that the AI leaders should know. And I think, Ankash, you're making a point that it's widely available. The best model is now widely available around the world in voice. So it's great. So essential, and folks online, Kevin, others, put in comments. We'd love to hear your ratings as well, if you agree or disagree. Next one, Ankash, please.
Okay, the next one is a research paper which talks about the rapid adoption of GenAI.
So
They had to do a research paper to validate this.
yeah, I actually John is not here, so I'll take it, Paul. So it is a research paper. They used the I think it's optional. All it does is to say that in August 24, 39% of U.S. population 18 and older used generative AI. 24% used it at least once a week, and 9% every day, or about 10% every day. So it's and then they compared it historically with the usage of how PC was adopted and internet was adopted, and this adoption curve is better, higher, so than those two. So it's yeah, and then the remainder of the paper explains how they did it. So how the survey was conducted, what data they did, and blah 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 blah. So I just think it's optional.
Yep, I agree do as well. Optional. Ankash, can you agree with that?
Well, this one is optional. Yeah.
Yep, great. Next.
Okay, the next one is from Metra Raghu and Eric Schmidt, and it talks about how the best AIs will be constructed and not emergent.
I think it was me. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I actually liked that paper. It's very short and sweet. It is reflective. It talks about how this is happening, right? The AI wave. And if you scroll down, Anka, so the main conclusion is that you really need to take different approaches to the specifically vertical applications versus prompt that give you a broad application. Scroll down, 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 and then they conclude that it will be built brick by brick. So essentially, whatever your applications are, like right a little bit lower, right here, it's not a very big, so the not very big picture, but it says you will have to select the layers depending on your application and do what is necessary for the verticals, applying the methods that we're now getting. So I agree with that conclusion. I think it's an important read to step back and see what is happening kind of from the mountain down. I rated it as important.
But Luda, maybe my brain, simple brain. I mean, is this a blinding insight? I mean, they're saying that OpenAI and foundation models by themselves aren't an application. That we're going to go to multiple things. We've been calling enterprise intelligence applications. Their group calls it compound AI systems. Microsoft, or the most recent model, O1, is multiple models working together here. So the car is going to have multiple LLM models. And it's like saying, is that a surprise? Am I missing the point?
No. It is
Yeah. Just a reinforcement of that same point.
Yeah. So they're just saying, look, the foundational models are improving with the first sort of first chatbots, very broad, fascinating, but then more data, more specifics with RAG and the like. And then with more reasoning as O1 demonstrated. So now if you are really into a specific application and specific domain, you will use prompting, but you will do much more with the data. You will do much more with the prompting, and you will build it one brick at a time as the technology becomes available. You will use AI agents, but you can't quite do that now because they present an example that if you use agents 10 times, each one is high accuracy, but over the 10-time usage, the accuracy will decrease, which is correct. So in other words, there's a whole bunch of pieces that need to get put together for a really solid, deep application to be built. The pioneers are doing it now and putting it together. It's nothing really per se new, but it's a brief, short article kind of talking about what's happening right now. I found it interesting.
What you're rating important?
Important,
yeah. So I think the high level is, instead of one big brain that does everything, we're going to have a village of brains and other components. Kevin, longtime listener, contributor, Kevin's agree with it, as does Luda. So great. Lucinda, I'm sorry. I'm looking at your name saying Lucinda. Thank you. So thanks everyone. Important it is, and let's move on. Next one, please.
The next one comes from AT&T, and it talks about how they are into second year of their GenAI implementation and how they are using different types of applications across the board.
This one was signed to me. I initially was applying at the optional or important level until I got to 1 billion tokens per day. That's the highest number I've seen from someone published now. We're doing a book to total cost of ownership modeling, and one of the big debates we're having how many tokens per year is a 100,000 person company going to generate here? And Here's one showing 1 billion tokens per day. So I had this as an essential piece of information. So I feel like I'm grade inflating today, Luda. So keep me
You're
honest here.
John
Yeah.
today. You're channeling John. He's usually
Channeling John. Yeah, that's
um, it's an interesting use case. It's a very short article. AT&T implemented their essentially internal chatbot on their data and allowed users to use it in various ways. And they've been improving it and allowed use to bring together small programs, small pieces of software. Chatbot would write small pieces of software to access data to get really specific insights out of their internal data. And the billion tokens is the sort of the increased usage that they seem to be monitoring. So I'm not sure I would say essential. This is a use case. What it says, the usage is increasing. He doesn't give the productivity gains. The fact that the number of tokens is increasing, it's the usage is higher. He said the impact is huge, but we don't know what it is. And the specific values here are missing. So you can be just, querying it and learning, and that's good too, but it's not yet productivity value. So I was thinking maybe important case.
fair enough. Important it is. Ankaj, next, please.
Next one is the big one and comes from Meta, and it's about the Llama 3.2 announcements that they have made yesterday, uh, in which they have introduced lightweight and multimodal Llama models.
Yeah.
Meta Llama's cranking stuff out like crazy over there. Are we impressed?
So, Paul, do you want to take it? I think it's essential, personally.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
So this is multimodal. There are two models that can live on the edge. They have pre-trained video and multimodal capabilities, and they're also releasing the stack and distributions. And I'm not sure they're releasing the data, but they're certainly releasing it on a huge number of platforms: AMD, AWS, Databricks, Dell, Google Cloud, Grok, IBM, blah blah blah. It goes. So that is unbelievable, right? So the fact that they're releasing it and then releasing it on a number of various platforms and giving the capabilities to the developers, and it's available now, I find massively impressive. They report that they've seen 10x growth. Llama has achieved 10x growth in the last year. It's amazing from my perspective.
Yeah, this was very consistent with that the AI conference I was at a couple of weeks ago in the Valley, and they had a gentleman saying from Meta talking about the growth here. I think we compare this also to yesterday's announcement of NVIDIA bundling in Llama 3. So we've got NVIDIA and open source as a major combination, along with IBM and a few others, push and quote open source, a free download version of this in packaged solutions that's going head to head with some of the closed versions out there. I think it's certainly one of the reasons that we're seeing such a rapid fall in pricing. Essential is Lucinda Online agrees with Essential. So it is a essential day and a couple of articles. I think, is that the last one?
Yeah.
So let's spend, it made Wall Street Journal, let's spend at least a minute or two talking about the CTO leaving open AI. So we continue to see, massive brain drain at OpenAI. We've had multiple initial founders leave. We now have seen the CEO get fired and come back. We've seen now the well-respected CTO leave. Lucinda, should AI leaders be aware of this and even care?
you're asking me, right?
Yes,
Lucinda, you and I became one in Paul's mind here. So,
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
yeah. So, I don't know. You can look at it from the positive perspective. You can look at it from the negative perspective. So, OpenAI is a leader, and they are seeding the industry. So people who leave don't just sit on the bench. They start companies. They come up with new approaches. They rival where they came from. So I'm looking at it positively. I think OpenAI is keeping up, but maybe and the fact that people are leaving is certainly a risk. But we are seeing way more companies to actually fill the void. If OpenAI is gone, I don't think Gen AI will stop, right? So because we have others already that are rivaling the performance and the capabilities. So I just think OpenAI is seeding the industry, which is wonderful from my perspective. So people should care and should watch because of the risk, but I'm looking at it positively.
Yeah, I agree on the seeding here. I think this is just another reason, though, is that AI leaders absolutely need to design and test LLM flexibility. The amount of flux going on in these companies at the senior technical level, for anything I'm making a 3-year bet, it's way too risky to start thinking about here's a process I'm going to be automating, really relying on any one vendor here. We've seen Inflection raise 1.6 billion and 70 people go over to Microsoft, 6 months later. We've seen an AI startup in France raise $200 million on a funding round and 3 of the founders left. We've seen now 6 or 7 of the key leaders at the hottest company we've ever seen in our lives in enterprise leave. And at some point, and on top of that, we've seen just extreme productivity with small teams, 12, 15 people at Midjourney doing 200 million in revenue here. So we know 3 or 4 key engineers can drive a lot of value. And if they go away, it does impact roadmaps. So I think you absolutely have to be aware of this and understand what the hell's going on. They're also moving to, they lost their safety group. They're now switching from the pseudo nonprofit to for-profit, assuming just to help with fundraising here. So there's a hell of a lot of churn at the leading vendor out there.
Yeah. So I think we should include it and rate it as important to watch because of the risk. So maybe include an article that we will have a 7-1 that
great
about it and rate it as important.
Tim, our colleague Tim's online is noting that's not clear yet. Startups often lose most of the initial staff. So we will maybe have a full formal discussion yesterday and rate that news item. So Ankash, you have the top board. There it is. So today we had a lot of high grades today. 3 essential articles. I think last week was a high water mark. We had 6 for the entire week. We had 3 today, 2 essential. And I think Luda, our colleague John, may be. Anyway, it's shocking when John leaves, the grades go up. So I don't know if that's good or bad. So lots of news on a Wednesday. Thank you, everyone, for another really good discussion. Fabulous discussion online, Tim, Lucinda, Kevin, and others. And we will keep learning going and talk to everyone tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.